The collapse never begins with a dramatic moment. It starts quietly, like a small crack that no one notices until the entire structure trembles. There is a day when the weight becomes too heavy, when the mind grows tired of holding everything together, and the heart feels stretched beyond recognition. That moment convinces many that everything is falling apart, but the truth is far more complicated. Collapse is not the end. Collapse is the signal that the old version of life no longer fits who you are becoming. It is the body demanding evolution. It is the mind rejecting stagnation. What feels like destruction is often the first step toward reconstruction. The discomfort is not evidence of failure. It is evidence that something deeper is being rearranged. Pain has a way of stripping away illusions. When life bends beyond your control, every false attachment is exposed. Suddenly, the things that once mattered fall silent. Distractions no longer soothe. Surface-level goals lose their appeal. Hardship forces honesty. It shows what actually supports you and what only appeared to. In the ruins of collapse, clarity emerges. It becomes obvious which habits corroded growth, which people drained energy, which environments suffocated potential. Pain does not ask for permission before teaching lessons. It simply reveals what comfort keeps hidden. Those who learn to read the language of struggle begin to see truth where others see only loss. The distance between who you were and who you need to become often feels unbearable. The mind tries to cling to old patterns, even when they no longer serve. That tension is what creates the sensation of falling apart. It is the psychological equivalent of outgrowing skin. The discomfort comes from expansion, not failure. Just like bones ache when growing rapidly, identity aches when evolving. Every internal breakdown is a signal that a new version of self is forming beneath the surface. The pain comes from resistance, not transformation. When the mind finally releases the old form, the pressure dissolves. But until then, the battle feels endless. Isolation amplifies every emotion. When life slips out of alignment, the silence grows louder, and the mind begins to exaggerate every flaw, every mistake, every fear. It is easy to assume that no one else has walked the same path, that no one else understands the exhaustion. But the truth is universal. Every person who has ever achieved inner strength has passed through this season where nothing makes sense and everything feels heavy. The solitude is not punishment, it is preparation. Growth requires space. Noise must be removed so the inner voice can be heard. In quiet moments of struggle, a new identity begins to form its outline. Hopelessness is a master illusionist. It convinces you that circumstance defines destiny, that the present moment represents the whole story. The mind under pressure becomes a skilled storyteller, inventing narratives that predict disaster. These predictions feel like truth because fear is persuasive. But fear cannot see the future. It can only distort the present. The part of you that believes everything is ending is the same part being forced to change. Perspective is the difference between collapse and rebirth. When perspective shifts, possibility returns. When possibility returns, energy follows. And when energy follows, the path appears again. Never identical, but always clearer. Loss has a brutal way of purifying direction. When everything that once felt stable is shaken, the unnecessary falls away. What remains is authenticity. Hardship clarifies values. It forces a return to essentials. What matters begins to shine through the smoke of chaos. Many people misunderstand these moments as setbacks when in reality they act as filters. They remove what is misaligned so purpose can re-emerge. The things that survive adversity are the things that deserve to remain in your future. Collapse becomes purification. Purification becomes precision. Precision becomes power. Strength is never born in the light. It is forged in the dark when there is no applause, no support, no visible progress. Power grows when you show up for yourself, even when confidence is gone. The act of continuing without certainty builds a kind of resilience that comfort could never teach. Persistence in these low moments rewires identity. You begin to see that capability does not disappear when circumstances worsen. It is simply buried beneath fear. Through repetition, effort becomes a statement. I will not disappear here. That statement becomes truth long before results appear. Every difficult season introduces a version of yourself that only pain could awaken. The quiet determination, the sharper intuition, the deeper emotional endurance. All of these traits come from surviving what once felt impossible. People often search for strength through books, motivation, advice, but true resilience is learned only one way: through surviving storms no one warned you about. The lessons gained cannot be stolen or faked. They become part of your fabric. When life tests you again, those lessons respond before fear does. You move differently because you have lasted through worse. Transformation always happens out of order. The external world may still look chaotic while the internal world begins forming stability. Healing is not linear, it is layered. One day feels powerful, the next feels hopeless. This isn't regression, it's rewiring. The mind is learning to let go of old responses while building new ones. Growth doesn't replace weakness instantly, it overlaps it. Over time, strength takes up more space. Pain takes up less. Then one morning, without warning, the weight that once crushed you feels lighter. Not because it changed, but because you did. Eventually a new pattern emerges, one built from awareness, grit, and self-respect. The individual who rises from heavy seasons is not the same person who entered them. They see themselves more clearly. They trust themselves more deeply. They stop tolerating what diminishes them. They stop fearing what challenges them. The struggle becomes a reference point, a reminder that endurance outlives despair. The world cannot take from someone who has rebuilt themselves from nothing more than willpower. Nothing the future throws will ever feel as impossible as the moment you refuse to surrender. The story continues not because the pain ended, but because the person became stronger than the pain.